Welcome to Malice and Mystery, where shadows whisper and the unknown beckons. Step into a realm of spin-tangling horror, eerie mysteries, and chilling tales. From real-life paranormal encounters to unsolved enigmas and spine-chilling urban legends, we bring you the darkest stories from the shadows. Subscribe if you dare, and remember, some mysteries are better left unsolved. The mysterious SOS signal that was never answered when you're out on the open ocean and something goes wrong with your ship. There is no one coming to save you. You are truly on your own. With that said, there have been cases of ships that have gotten into trouble only to be saved by total strangers who happen to be sailing in the same waters. But there are also times where vessels will find themselves in such dire straits that even another ship could help them. These are the cases where calling for help may be the only option. But what if nobody answers? Welcome back, everyone. Here today, we'll be looking at the top 10 mysterious SOS signals that were never answered. Number 10. The Mary Celeste. In 1872, the brigantine commercial sailing ship known as the Mary Celeste was found off the Azores Islands. It was adrift with no crew on board. The ship had set sail from New York City just a few weeks prior, bound for Genoa, Italy. There was cargo on board, but it was mostly empty, because it had been used for transporting alcohol earlier in its trip. Everything appeared to be in working order on the vessel. There was no sign of damage or distress. However, there were some strange things about the ship. For example, the main hatch was wide open. This wouldn't have been the case had the ship encountered a storm. Also, the lifeboat was missing. Furthermore, there was food on board and there was no indication that any of the crew had become violent. There was also no sign of piracy. There was evidence that someone had removed some barrels of alcohol and replaced them with water. The theory here is that someone came aboard, stole some alcohol, and then left. But this doesn't explain why the crew abandoned ship. Unfortunately, the mystery of the Mary Celeste has never been solved. 9. The Titan. Back in 1911, the Titan was a British ocean liner that sank after colliding with another ship. It was carrying passengers between the cities of Newcastle and South Shields. As the liner began to sink, an SOS signal was sent out, but this was the time before radio was commonly used. And so the message didn't get out right away. Even when the nearby ship, the Willowbank, saw the flares meant to signal distress, they didn't realize what they were at first. They assumed they were fireworks. It wasn't until the next morning that they realized what they had actually seen. The captain of the Willowbank tried to alert other ships in the area. But unfortunately, the Titan's SOS signal was not received until it was too late. Only 3 people survived the sinking of the Titan. No, 8. The Inexorable. The Inexorable was a schooner that sank in 1907. It was a 4-masted commercial sailing ship owned by the Smiths Line based out of Boston. On April 16th, the captain of the vessel sent out an SOS signal indicating that his ship was in distress. He was having issues with the rudder and was worried that his ship would crash into the rocks. A rescue vessel was dispatched, but after searching for hours, they were unable to locate the Inexorable. This was very strange because the captain had given precise coordinates as to where he was located. The search was called off at sunset, but it would resume the following day. Unfortunately, the Inexorable was never seen again, nor were any of the crew members. To this day, it's unclear as to what happened to the ship or the crew. Some believe that it was lost due to bad weather, while others believe it may have hit the rocks and sunk. Number 7. The Cotopaxi. The SS Cotopaxi was a steamer that disappeared without a trace in 1925. The ship had traveled from New York to Rio de Janeiro and had made many trips like this one before. However, this time it would be different. The last confirmed sighting of the ship was on November 26th. It was near the mouth of the Amazon River. At the time, the weather was perfect, so there's no reason why the ship should have been delayed. Several days later, an SOS signal was sent out as the ship's scheduled arrival date had passed. Days turned into weeks, but still there was no sign of the Cotopaxi. Storms would roll through and the seas would be rough. But then the skies would clear again, and the ship would still be nowhere in sight. It was finally declared lost on January 4, 1926, with all 34 people on board presumed dead. Number 6. The Star Tiger. The history of aviation has been littered with instances where a plane simply vanishes without a trace. And strangely, this has happened twice with the same aircraft. The Star Tiger was a British Airways plane that first disappeared in 1948. It flew from Lisbon to Gander, Newfoundland. The plane was carrying 9 passengers and 5 crew members. It was flying over the Atlantic Ocean when contact was lost. Nothing was found of the plane for days. Then debris was discovered on the shores of the Azores Islands. The wreckage indicated that the plane had broken apart in midair. But since no one had seen the plane break apart, there was no way to tell exactly what had happened. In 1949, the Star Tiger took off from Lisbon once again. This time it was flying to Kingston, Jamaica. Again, the plane was over the Atlantic when contact was lost. The wreck of this flight was never found. But what makes the story strange is that it seems as though the same fate befell both flights. Both planes went missing over the same stretch of ocean, and both were last seen flying over the Azores Islands. No. 5. The Vestris. The Vestris was a British ocean liner that sank in 1928. It was heading from New York to London when the ship sprang a leak. Passengers were ordered to abandon ship, but there weren't enough lifeboats. The captain of the nearby ship, the Transylvania, saw the flares sent out by the Vestris. He assumed they were fireworks. When he realized the next morning that they were SOS signals, it was too late. The Vestris had sunk, and all 539 passengers and crew were dead. Number 4. The Lord Elgin. In 1882, the iron ship, the Lord Elgin, was sailing from Liverpool to New York when it was caught in a storm. The ship wound up running aground on the coast of Cape Cod. The crew sent out an SOS signal, but unfortunately, the only ship that was close enough to come to their aid refused. The captain of the ship that passed by assumed the flares were fireworks. By the time they realized they were SOS signals, it was too late. The Lord Elgin had sunk, and all 22 people on board were dead. Number 3. The Orang Medan. The Orang Medan was a Dutch ship that sent out a chilling Medan with a chilling SOS signal in 1947. The captain sent out a message saying that the ship's crew had become ill, presumably from carbon monoxide poisoning. He believed that they had only hours to live, but before the ship could be dispatched to help, the transmission ended. The next day, the ship was located, but there was no one on board. The ship's lifeboat was missing, but there were life buoys on deck. It looked as though the crew had prepared the ship for evacuation, but then left without getting onto the boats. The ship was searched thoroughly, but no one was found. There were no signs of struggle. There were no signs of foul play. To this day, the fate of the crew remains unknown. Number 2. The De Grasse. The De Grasse was a French frigate that sank in 1806. It was captured by the British during the Battle of the Sense. The ship was leaking badly, and eventually it was decided to abandon it. An SOS signal was sent out, but the only ship that got the message was the HMS Amphion. The captain of the HMS Amphion saw the signal, but figured that the French were trying to trick him. He waited a bit and then proceeded to fire upon the disgraces. He did this even though the SOS signals clearly indicated that the French needed assistance. After firing upon the vessel, the captain noticed that they were waving white flags, which indicated that they wanted to surrender, but it was too late. The disgraces had sunk and 140 sailors had drowned. Number 1. The White Squall. In 1961, a strong cold front moved across the Gulf of Mexico. The U.S. Coast Guard predicted that the cold front would cause massive storms and warned boaters to stay ashore. However, 2 yachtsmen named Billiam Baton and Robert Johnson decided to go sailing anyway. They contacted friends on shore to let them know that they would be gone for about 10 hours and then disappeared. Search and rescue missions were organized, but neither man was found. 5 days later, the Coast Guard received a call from a man named Kenneth Connor. He claimed that he and 2 others had rescued the 2 men from their capsized yacht. However, when the Coast Guard arrived, they found the 2 men lying on the floor, dead. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave it a like. If you haven't done so already, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a tale from the shadows. Until next time, stay curious and stay away from the unknown. See you next time. Bye.